full introduction to this sermon with just a closer walk with me. We know we ought to do it, but we often don't. If we're being completely honest, we probably rarely ever do it. We complain we don't have the time, the weather is bad, we're just too tired and exhausted. We are reminded that we need to do it every time we are sluggish and just feel weighed down by the trials of life. We are reminded that we need to do it every time we are stressed. When we go to the doctor, we are reminded of its importance for our overall health and well-being. Of course, what I'm talking about is participating in some form of exercise. We know we ought to be involved in at least 30 minutes of intentional physical activity 5 days a week. But does this usually happen? No. The act of exercise is one of those things that is very much easier said than done. However, I think if you would all agree with me that after we have exercised, even if it's infrequent, we always feel better. We might be sweaty, hurting, and in pain, but we do feel better. Not only is exercise great for the body, it's equally great for the soul. And that's the thing about exercise. It's a whole body effort and experience. No matter what activity level you are at, whether it's high intense running or spinning class, to jogging, to leisurely walking, your whole self is involved in the act of exercising. Not only are you working out your heart and muscles and stretching their capacities to perform, when you exercise, endorphins go amok and fill your body with energy you did not have before. Exercise is a stress reliever and also a great mood enhancer. There's a reason runners get a runner's high. Now, just like exercise, our faith requires our whole self, our heart, our mind, our body, and our soul. And just like exercise requires intentional devotion, so does our faith. With this in mind, it makes sense that we find similarities in the act of exercising, more specifically walking, and our faith. The second hymn in our sermon series is Just a Closer Walk with Thee, which we heard earlier. Now, there's a lot of mystery surrounding this hymn. There's not a lot of definite information about it. We don't know the exact author or composer of this hymn, but it's believed to be written, and I use that loosely, in the second half of the 19th century in the African American community. So while Just a Closer Walk with Thee is a hymn, it is more so a spiritual and a gospel song. It's very likely that this song was created out of the death and community of African American slaves. At that horrific time in the life of its country and its people, he has some really great, heartfelt, and deep music from a people who were suffering great wrongs. Songs created out of this kind of environment were not only used for entertainment value, but some songs held hidden meanings with specific hidden messages. When a slave would hear a particular song with a specific hidden message, they would know where to go to safety and where to go to freedom. All music has a story and has emotion behind it. But the Black spirituals take that up a few levels. You can feel the pain, and hurt, but also great joy as you imagine the song being sung in its original context. Just a Closer Walk with Thee grew in popularity in the 1930s, where it was commonplace to hear it during African American church conventions, and its popularity only grew from there. Different artists and different genres have covered this spiritual, from Elvis Presley to Pat Boone to Charlie Daniels to the Abbott Brothers. It's commonly believed, it's commonly played during traditional New Orleans funeral, as the song lends itself to more of a bluesy and jazzy feel that we have that feel during the church hymn today. Unlike some hymns, this song is not believed to be based on any particular scripture passage. So don't think that the 2 John passage that was read by Kim before was inspiration behind this hymn, because it wasn't. It's only complementary to this. The song was created out of an experience. However, this doesn't mean that just a closer walk with thee is not biblical. There are many times in the realm of the Bible that talk about walking in the Lord. In Psalm 23, we have reference to walking through the valley of the shadow of death. And even despite being in the darkest valley, God is there. In the Gospels, Jesus walks on water in order to inspire the disciples to have a deep faith in that which seems impossible. And there are numerous references, both in the Old Testament and New Testament, walking in the way and the path of God. I've never given it much thought before preparing this sermon, but walking is a great metaphor to describe our life in faith. As a person who appreciates a great, intense workout routine, I've kind of downplayed the importance of walking. I know that many of you walk. You make it a priority to walk. I've seen many of you walking the streets of Wabash. Sometimes you were alone, and other times you were with others. And the act of walking, you can easily get into a nice, steady, consistent rhythm. You have a good pace you can continue with for a while. With running, you can easily start off too fast. I just feel awful as the run progresses because, well, you just expel so much energy at the beginning. And you're just really spent with little energy left. But with walking, you don't tend to have this issue because the energy that you expel tends to be pretty evenly distributed throughout the entire time you're walking. And I think this kind of pacing is something that we need to apply to our life in faith. Reflecting on your faith journey, have there been times when you, like a runner, have had these big bursts of energy? Have there been times when you felt the Spirit of God so deeply, and you allowed yourself to expel an immense amount of energy towards God in prayer and devotion to the church, and then the giving up of yourself and your resources for a higher and greater good? Now, you probably had these times. However, they've probably most likely been short-lived. Because after all, you can't keep that high pace and intense energy up forever. And I think this is the reason why sometimes we get burnt out in life, in faith, and in church. We need too much all at the same time, so we hit the wall. And we stop. Because we pour so much of ourselves into this one thing, and we just can't do it. It seems that in a short period of time, we can go from high peaks of involvement to low valleys, where we want to do absolutely nothing. And the truth is, we've allowed ourselves to live into that reality. And we really have no one to blame but ourselves. We hit a wall, and we don't know if we can ever break through that wall again. Now, I wonder, does that describe you right now? I think a more biblical approach to faith, and the best way we can have a long-lasting, deep faith that grows throughout the years, is by having a more consistent and steady pace, like you would as if you were walking with God. When you have that steady pace,